Today, let's talk about pain and how pain is the pathway to freedom. And the reason why I want to talk about this is just before I put the camera on, maybe about 20 minutes ago, I read a comment from a YouTube video that I posted about 2 weeks ago. And the comment I just saw, apparently this person, who was a woman, she commented about 5 days ago and I didn't see it. And she was saying that the video was an emotional release. It was basically a guided meditation. And she was like, basically what she said was, I've never left a comment on the YouTube video before, but you probably should have put a disclaimer on this meditation, because when she started doing the meditation, she started to cry very, very deeply. She felt a tremendous amount of pain, and the pain didn't dissolve, didn't release in the allotted time that I gave, to the point where it even followed with her into the next day. And it's still 3 days later, it's still a couple of days later, where she still feels this immense amount of pain. And I shouldn't be saying things like accept it, or because people can't just stop the feeling on command. And I get what she's saying. I probably should have put a disclaimer, because a lot of the meditations that I do, they do go very, very deep, where a lot of unprocessed memories and energy is going to come up. And if you're not ready for it, it's going to be extremely painful. However, pain is the pathway to freedom. What do I mean by that? What she's not realizing is feeling better doesn't mean you're getting better. Because what she's looking for, I'm assuming, I don't really know this person, what she's looking for is, she wanted to do the meditation so she could feel better. But instead, after the meditation, she felt worse. And it lingered days later. And she's thinking that it was a bad idea to do it. And maybe in her case it is. However, just because she's feeling worse doesn't mean she's not getting better. And I've said this in the previous video, where if a person decides to stop smoking, a day or two later when they stop smoking, they're going to have withdrawal symptoms. They're going to feel like crap. Now, if they wanted to feel better, the most obvious thing to do is to just smoke a cigarette. But if they smoke the cigarette and they feel better, does that mean they're getting better? Obviously not, because the goal is for them to stop smoking. That way they actually get better health-wise. So with her, which I do feel a little bad, a little bothered, I wish I could contact her directly. I'll probably leave a YouTube comment back. But with her, what she has to learn how to do is realize that pain is part of the process. You need to be able to deal with your stuff. And for her, she wasn't ready for it when the stuff came up. But what she's not realizing at the same time is that this stuff that came up, because it's buried very, very deep, actually shapes her life. Which means this stuff is controlling you. And until you learn how to release it, which is painful, by the way, you'll never be actually free. And there's a process to this. Like, one of my favorite books to read is the Four Gospels from the Bible, right? With the story of Jesus. And if you think of the story of, like, let's just think of Easter, right? With Jesus, there's basically 5 parts to that story. The first part is the dinner, where basically Jesus wakes up. And you have to read the Bible. I wish more people taught the Bible metaphorically as opposed to literally. Because there's lessons. But you have to read this stuff very, very deeply and take your time with it. You can't just take it as a general story. You have to read in between the lines. But the first part of the story with Jesus is the dinner, Basically, he's at the dinner and he realizes that he is waking up. He's taking a step back and he sees all the suffering that everybody is going through and the illusion that people are living in. So that's the first part of the dinner, is Jesus waking up and realizing, wow, everybody's living in an illusion. The second part of the story is the actual betrayal, where Judas basically betrays him, hands him over to the authorities, and he still forgives Judas in that moment. But the idea here, let's take it back to you, because this is all about us, right? I think all of us, particularly if you're following my page, there's a part of you that wants to wake up. And when you first wake up, it's like the dinner. You're starting to see the illusion. I think all of us are in that state where we're seeing that we're living in an illusion, particularly in our minds. We don't see reality as it is. We see it as we believe. And what happens is when we start to wake up and we realize everybody else is living in that illusion, that's the first step, is waking up, the dinner. The second step is when we start to wake up, we're going to feel betrayed. What do I mean by betrayed? Because we're going to start acting different. We're going to start being different. And then what's going to happen is our friends, our family members are going to comment on it. So for me, when I started becoming different, when I started to wake up, when I started to realize there's more to reality than what I think it is, people start to comment on it. And you guys might go through the same thing where, like, when you start to, like, try to grow spiritually or just grow in general, or you try to do something different, the second step is betrayal, where people are going to mention how you're acting different and they're going to try to pull you back into the illusion. And because you choose not to, at least I hope you do, you choose not to go back into the illusion, people are going to, particularly your friends and family, they're going to talk shit about you. And you need to learn to be okay. Now, the third part of the story is the trial. They bring Jesus to trial. And basically, it's the ultimate cancel. Like today, we live in a society where there's cancel culture, where you could just say mean things to people online just because you have a certain opinion. Well, Jesus experienced that to the highest degree. But what people don't realize is being talked bad about, like they talk bad about Jesus, is the ultimate experience of growing, because what's happening is, as they start to talk that shit about you, as they try to cancel you, as they say things about you, some of that stuff might actually be true, to the point where it's bringing up the pain. So for instance, if somebody's trying to cancel you and somebody's trying to say bad things about you, which is what happened to Jesus, you're going to get triggered. And there's going to be a part of you, which is your ego, your mind, that's going to want to resist it. And it's going to want to fight back. But what you have to do in that moment is, when that energy comes up, allow it to be there. Don't resist. Because realize the idea of getting canceled is the ultimate growth spiritually, because you're releasing the false self. So that was the third part. So the third part is the trial. The fourth part of this story is the crucifixion. It's the actual physical suffering that you're going to go through. And in the story, he gets nailed to the cross. And metaphorically, what they're doing is they're killing off the body. You're starting to let go of your identity to the body. So with this girl or woman that did the meditation, what she's not realizing is she has to realize that, yes, she's experiencing a lot of pain within her body, but she has to allow herself to not identify with it. She has to allow herself to take a step back from it and realize that she's the consciousness that's aware of what she's going through. So this is the fourth part of the story, is the crucifixion, and most people don't want to go through the steps. You can't skip steps if you want to grow spiritually. So what she is looking for, what I'm assuming, and I may be wrong, she's looking for a quick fix. She's looking for a little 20-minute guided meditation that's going to take away all of her problems. That way she feels good about herself and her ego feels good, because, the ego is addicted to comfort. We're all addicted to feeling good. And what we have to learn how to do is let go of that. Life is not about feeling good all the time. Life is not about feeling comfortable all the time. You have to be willing to go through the pain, because pain is the pathway to freedom. Because what's painful is releasing the false self, releasing our identity. And nobody really knows how to do that. Like today, it's like we've identified with so many things, whether it be race, gender, pronouns. All of this stuff is causing our suffering. We're holding on tight to what we believe we are. But the true us, the real us, is the consciousness that's aware of everything. So with Jesus, when he was getting crucified, he's letting go of his body. He's surrendering his body. He's realizing in that moment, in order for him to elevate to a higher level of consciousness, which is basically what they call Christ-like consciousness, he has to let go of the body. He has to let go of the mind. That way he could ascend. And the first three parts is where he let go of the mind, which is basically he's waking up from the illusion at the dinner. The second part is the betrayal, because he's been betrayed by his friends. He's even letting go of his friends and his disciples. The third part is they're trying to cancel his character. They're saying things that are false. They're falsely accusing him of stuff. The fourth part is all about letting go of the body. And then from there, he passes away, the story goes, and they put him in a tomb. They bury him. And the idea here is you go into a place of solitude. And in this place of stillness, you go into a void. And you really connect to a higher level of consciousness. But this stuff is hard. Nobody actually wants to do it because it's painful. And for this woman that is saying that I should have left a disclaimer, which next time I probably will, she's just looking for a quick fix. And I do feel bad for her. But at the same time, if she actually chooses to surrender to these feelings, surrender to these experiences, realizing that she is not this experience, she is not this feeling, she is not this memory, she'll be okay. And at the end of the road, she'll feel a lot better. Ultimately, she'll feel a lot better because she'll be actually getting better. So that's all I wanted to say today. Please, as you go throughout the day, I'm about to go work out at the gym. I'm going to put myself through pain. I'm going to put the physical body through a little bit of pain. I'm going to do my best to surrender to it. I'm going to do my best to accept it and realize that life is pretty good, man. Even when you're in pain, life can be very, very good. So I hope you guys got value from this. If you did, as always, leave any feedback in the comment section. Peace.